This time we're going to begin to look at some data, and to start with we're going to check out the speed trace. Now, to some people this may just seem like a squiggly line on a page, but what we can see in front of us actually contains some really valuable information about what's going on during a lap. Just before we get into it, I'd like to talk about the axis. So on the left we have our speed on the y-axis, and this is scaled from 0 at the bottom to 144 at the top. Now, Circuit Tools will auto scale the speed for you, and it depends entirely on the data that you load in. Along the bottom, on the x-axis, we have our GNSS position index, and in this particular file we are going from 0 to 680. So when we read the data, we are reading it from the left to the right. There are 4 main points that I'd like to cover regarding the speed trace. Number 1. If the graph is going down like this indicates that we are in a state of deceleration. Number 2. If the graph is going up like this indicates that we are in a state of acceleration. Number 3. There are 5 peaks to this graph, and these are the areas at which we're transitioning from a state of acceleration to a state of deceleration. And in other words, these are our braking zones. And finally, number 4, we have these U-shaped troughs throughout this file, and these indicate the area at which we are transitioning from a state of deceleration to a state of acceleration. And in other words, we can interpret these as our corner entry and corner exit areas. So now we should be able to identify where our braking points are, where our acceleration points are, and also whether we're currently decelerating or accelerating. So how do we use this information to work out what's going on the graph? So let's zoom into the first braking and acceleration zone here to have a look in more detail. So firstly, we can see both drivers accelerating down the pit straight at a pretty similar rate. The speed traces are pretty much bang on top of each other. However, at the braking point we can see that the driver in blue has applied the brakes a little bit earlier than the driver in red. So the driver in red has carried a lot more speed down through this braking zone. So you can see there's a bit of a gap between the two traces there. What we can also identify is the driver in blue has spent less time coming off the throttle and applying the brake than the driver in red. The red driver's trace has a bit more of a radius to it, and that suggests to me that there's been a little bit of a delay between when the throttle has been removed to when the brake has been applied. Now, without knowing, perhaps the driver doesn't left foot brake. He might be a right foot braker, which means there's going to be a bit of a delay from when the foot comes off the throttle pedal, moves across and applies the brake. Whereas the driver in blue may have been a left foot braker and he's been able to instantly press the brake at the same time as coming off the throttle. If we have a look at the acceleration zone, in particular this area here, the red trace is sitting above the blue trace, and that suggests that the driver in red has been able to get on the throttle quicker and apply more acceleration before the driver in blue. And if we have a look at this, the red trace stays on top of the blue trace for the majority of this section up to the next part of the circuit. So from here to here, the driver in blue is losing time against the driver in red.